Be a wild ride. Let's get ready to have some fun, guys. Pee-woo! All right, there's first aid, but like I said, this is the worst first aid. We got a couple of scenes here pulled up where I think there are just glaring examples of problems, starting with the first episode.
Sir, we are not sick! No. Okay, you're okay.
All right, so she's breathing fast. That means she's not getting enough oxygen. So the body is responding by increasing the pulse, increasing cardiac output, and trying to increase the breathing rate to try and get more oxygen.
No. I know, baby, I know.
So he's trying to apply pressure. This is the right thing to do in a scenario like this because she is breathing. She does have an open airway. But in reality, moving a person like this is now creating more harm than good because you're not actually helping them in any way.
Baby, listen to me. I gotta get you up.
Getting her up is only gonna make the bleeding worse, faster. Given how much blood has come out in this short 30-second interval, you can already predict how much more is gonna come out, and as a result, you know that she's not gonna make it. That's why in a wartime situation, if you were to see an injury like this, it would be about getting the morphine out, not helping the soldier. Oh, this scene drives me up a wall. My guy doesn't know yet that she's bit, and he's trying to create some sort of ankle brace for her, but he ends up wrapping her foot. Like, what are you wrapping here? Like, at least put something stiff on either side of the ankle so it doesn't re-roll. Instead, he like double wraps the foot. Like, it doesn't help anything. You gotta add the stability to the ankle, because when you have an inverted ankle injury, what ends up happening is you can damage the ligaments on the outside of your ankle, usually the anterior talofibular ligament, and as a result, your ankle is very loose and unstable. What I would have done is find some piece of wood, like there's wood and materials all around them, and take 2 little sticks and put it on either side of the ankle so that the ankle gets extra stability. In fact, some of the best braces that I recommend to my patients are ones that have like little metal inserts on the side that literally prevent your ankle from rolling side to side. It allows your ankle to have motion like this, plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, but not eversion inversion. Boom, wooden bat gets hit. He pushes the guy, but then he's gonna realize the baseball bat that broke off on the tree is now in his abdomen. Potentially the worst thing you can do is, without thought, pull out the object that's been stabbed into you. This object is jagged. So as a result, pulling it out is gonna create more damage, just like most knives and other things that get inserted into you. On top of it, you don't know if it's putting pressure on a blood vessel and preventing you from bleeding out. And my guy right there pulls it out. Bad move, bad move. A lot of blood's gonna come out. He's gonna pass out. And the reason why he starts passing out quickly is because due to the loss of blood, your blood pressure drops and you're not getting enough circulation to your brain, so you lose balance. Okay, she found some thread. Very classic scenario here. Okay, she has this, first of all, extremely dirty towel, which is bothering me so much because she's just festering that wound with massive bacteria. And then she's gonna suture the wound. This is what I find ridiculous in these shows, because remember, he was stabbed internally. So he's bleeding internally. Her closing off the wound is only closing off for the bacteria to be trapped inside of there, not really stopping any bleeding, because he's bleeding internally from his intestines, his organs being damaged. So she's not helping him at all with a situation like this. She's closing a dirty wound, which is something we don't do. Okay, she got herself some penicillin. And she obviously doesn't know how to give him the penicillin. Also, this is an IV dose of penicillin or IM dose of penicillin. So she just kind of ends up spraying it at him into his wound. So there's basically 4 ways you can give a medicine. You can give it orally, you can give it topically, like skin coverage. You could also give it IM, which you inject it into a large muscle group. Think about EpiPens. And then last but not least, you could give it subcutaneously, which is in the superficial portion of the skin. Oh, and through an IV, obviously directly into blood. Like if I was her and I wasn't sure, I would probably just stab it in his butt. And I know that sounds funny, but at least that's an IM form of the dosage that you know it's gonna get well absorbed and then travel systemically throughout the body. Obviously, doing it IV is the best way, but that's kind of hard to ask in a situation like this. Joel is officially superhuman in this series. It starts with this scene. Yep, classic fight scene. He's getting hit. This is the worst place you want to find yourself in a battle like this because all the other person's weight is on top of you. You put pressure on these carotid arteries for just a matter of seconds, the person loses consciousness. In fact, here's a strangulation reference guide from the city of New York that says only 11 pounds of pressure placed on both carotid arteries for just 10 seconds is necessary to cause unconsciousness. And just 4 pounds of pressure on the jugular for 10 seconds is necessary to cause unconsciousness. That's because the jugular vein actually prevents outflow of blood from the brain. And if you block it, you actually have a buildup of blood in the brain, also causing a loss of consciousness. All right, so this is the part where Joel's running away. We're bringing the scene back. Okay, he's fighting the guy, great. First of all, I already know he has a bat into him. But the fact that he chokes this guy for 3 seconds and then does this weird motion, this does not destroy someone's neck. He doesn't even position him in a unique way. He moves his whole body around and somehow they create a cracking sound. What did he do? Did he crack his vertebrae? Did he crack his trachea? Even then the guy would be laying on the ground choking, but instead it looks like this guy just cut off all circulation. His brain, he decapitated him with this ever mighty grasp on his neck. And obviously, off his fresh wound, freshly surgically closed by expert Dr. Ellie, he's fighting, wrestling people. My guy's hemoglobin hasn't recovered. He's still anemic. Walking for patients like this, they'll get short of breath. And yet my guy is wrestling out here. Like literally, there's a level of deconditioning that happens after an infection, after a blood loss, that you're not able to do things like this. I don't know any girl. This was an interesting scene. Basically, Joel sticks the knife, what looks like through the guy's femur and or kneecap and or tibia. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot just, after being sick and anemic and going into shock, with a knife stab through someone's bone. And first of all, getting stabbed into the quad muscle, there's probably the most painful area to get stabbed. And there's so many nerve fibers, lots of circulation, lots of blood loss. But wow, the fact that he just went right through his bone is impossible.
5 out of 10.
Stun grenade. These types of stun grenades create such a concussive effect on our brains that they shake us up. And in a scenario like this, where he was just injured, falling on his wound, not being fully recovered, he's not getting up from this for days. It's like getting the second concussion in sports that I always tell you about is the worst. And now he got hit again in the head. He's now waking up for weeks at a time. Not without major symptoms, at least. Next section is called Cordyceps is no fun, guys. It's my little play on it, because it is a fun guy. But it's no fun, guys.
Just to be clear, you do think microorganisms pose a threat?
Oh, in the most dire terms. Fungi seem harmless enough. Many species know otherwise, because there are some fungi who seek not to kill, but to control.
It's actually true that fungi exist in the millions in our ecosystems, and yet there's only few of them that have adapted in order to evade our own immune systems, in order to tolerate the high temperatures that the scientist is about to talk about.
Fungal infection of this kind is real, but not in humans.
True, fungi cannot survive if its host's internal temperature is over 94 degrees. And currently, there are no reasons for fungi to evolve to be able to withstand higher temperatures. But what if that were to change? What if, for instance, the world were to get slightly warmer? Well, now, there is reason to evolve.
I think it's important to think through these scenarios as scientists. I wouldn't present this as a leading threat to our lives, because there are so many things like these mutations that could happen in certain scenarios that would be absolutely devastating to the human race, that talking about it on a daily basis would just yield so much anxiety that would ultimately harm us for sure, as opposed to the chance of these things happening.
Fungi can alter our very minds. Fungus starts to direct the ant's behavior, telling it where to go, what to do, like a puppeteer with a marionette.
It's also true that fungi, technically most of them would be weeded out by our own internal immune systems. But there are situations where our immune systems are weakened. That's actually the majority of times when fungal infections happen in humans, at least the devastating ones. And then on top of it, modern medicine has created some medications that we actually need to treat certain conditions that also weaken our immune systems that allow for opportunistic infections.
Puppets with poisoned minds, permanently fixed on one unifying goal: to spread the infection to every last human alive by any means necessary. And there are no treatments for this, no preventatives, no cures. They don't exist. It's not even possible to make them.
I don't know why he says there are no treatments for fungal infections, because they do exist. So I'm sure he's making a point that I'm just not sort of wrapping my head around, but we do have medications for fungal infections. The one thing that I will say is accurate about this is they show the bite here, and then they show little red bumps far away. These are called satellite lesions, and those are sort of part of what we see on a fungal infection of skin. So that is realistic.
Take your bandage off.
This is where we see her immunity.
Joel. This is real. Joel, she's being real.
The question is, though, how is she immune? Is it her blood type? Is it previous exposure? Some medication that she got? They have no idea. Well, this is Ellie being born. We fast forwarded quite a bit here. This scene also didn't happen in the game, which is unique. They kind of added a prequel of what happened before, kind of giving us some insight potentially as to how Ellie is immune. So you have a pregnant mom delivering a baby by herself in a really dirty, non-sterile environment while fungi-infected zombies are running around. Ooh, brutal fight sequence here. You're also fighting for the baby. We see that the mama bear gave birth to Ellie while fighting, probably from bearing down during a contraction. You also see, simultaneously, that mama bear here has been bitten by said infected zombie. And mom is still connected via the umbilical cord to Ellie, therefore potentially spreading a small amount of particles of this infection to the baby. She cuts it rather quickly, but there is a possibility that Ellie was just slightly exposed to this type of fungal infection. So if you have a mild, small exposure of fungi that can't hurt you, maybe you could build up an adaptive immunity to said fungi. Not proven yet, but it's a theory. Now we gotta fact check the actual medicine that we're seeing in the show.
I'm exhausted.
God damn it. Back in bed.
I promise you I'm gonna stay up.
Why?
Because this is my last day.
What he's talking about here is basically medical aid in dying. For example, in New Jersey, where I work, we have programs that after meeting all the requirements, making sure that you've met with the proper mental health folks, that you've been judged by doctors to make sure that you actually have a short lifespan and that your condition is irreversible, that you can receive medical aid in dying. It's part of compassionate care and end-of-life care. Frank looks like he probably has MS, maybe ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. They're actually quite similar neurodegenerative diseases, but the things that they attack in our nervous system is different. For example, in MS, this is an autoimmune condition where the body attacks the myelin sheaths, the protective covering of the nerves. In ALS, you're actually creating damage to the neurons themselves. So it's slightly different in that sense, but a lot of the symptoms look quite similar. Oh, this scene here is very fascinating to me because if Ellie believes this to be something that she has in her blood, antibodies as an example, she's essentially trying to do like a convalescent plasma transfusion here. The question is she gonna create a proper transfusion kit? And as we all know, given the lack of supplies and the circumstances, she's gonna do the classic blood brothers thing or blood sisters thing where she's gonna make an incision and try and bleed over his wound. But as we know, while that can transmit some infections, it's not gonna transfer enough healing factors for it to be beneficial. And the reason we use convalescent plasma, by the way, for these types of transfusions, like we use them with COVID, is because the plasma, which makes up the majority of your blood, it's that yellow portion of blood that I've shown you in previous videos, that we desperately need donations of, so donate your plasma. That's where the antibodies float. And by getting that donation, you can actually pass along immunity to others. Well, this is where we learn this, this community of people are actually involved in cannibalism.
What is it?
Venison.
Many people will say, oh, that must carry so much disease. In reality, not to sound gross, human flesh is not that much different from eating animal flesh in terms of risk. You cook it well, the person's not sick in the moment. It's very similar. Obviously, the human body has a weird distribution of proteins and fats in order for it to be nutritious, so it's not very nutritious. But then the brain, it can carry a disease known as Kuru. And this actually was a big problem in the 50s and 60s in New Guinea, where they actually, as part of their culture, would consume the brains of other humans. It's very problematic because it's lethal, and we learned a lot about prion disease from that scenario, and specifically a lot because the incubation period was so long that it actually allowed us to study it and see this develop in the native population. So that's the one part of the body that's like a no-go.
Just take me to her.
I can't. She's being prepped for surgery.
But why is she going for surgery? What do they hope to do? If they believe her blood has healing powers, what is the purpose of the surgery? Study her blood first, see if that works before putting her into surgery.
Our doctor, he thinks that the cordyceps in Ellie has grown with her since birth.
Why is she in surgery?
It produces a kind of chemical messenger. It makes normal cordyceps think that she's cordyceps. It's why she's immune.
That makes no sense. If it makes other cordyceps think that she's cordyceps, they wouldn't bite her.
He's going to remove it from her, multiply the cells in a lab, produce those chemical messengers, and then we can give it to everyone.
That's probably the worst theory of why she's immune. Whoever that doctor is needs to be relegated to the D League, the G League. Where do doctors go? I don't know.
He thinks it could be a cure, Joel.
Cordyceps grows inside the brain.
How does he know that? How does he know that cordyceps grow inside the brain, not in the blood, and then infect the brain through chemical messengers?
It does.
How does she know? How have they become experts in cordyceps when I don't know about cordyceps? The only thing I know about cordyceps is there's something to do with caterpillars. That's my knowledge of cordyceps. And some people use them because they think it gives them like a better athletic performance. I understand if you fail doing all the initial tests and then this is your last thing, okay, fine. But they haven't even tried sampling her blood. Why not take like a pint of blood from her, give it to someone who has a cordyceps infection, and see if it heals them? This is actually a great situation to talk about the trolley problem. Do we sacrifice one Ellie in order to save the human race? I'm curious, leave your comments down below because I need to know.
Unhook her.
How did you get in here?
All right, so we see the heart monitor, we see good lights, we see them wearing proper protective gear. It looks like a very sterile environment, actually.
Oh my God.
They're taking off the EKG leads, they're pulling out the IVs. That was a weird placement for the IV. It was kind of in the middle of the forearm, not antecubital. I will say they did create a nice makeshift hospital. I just don't know what they were about to do. What medical procedure surgically would help them find... That's one confident doctor. Can you imagine if I walk into a patient's room and be like, Dr. Mike really knows his stuff? I want to do the blood pressure cuff like that on my patients and they just float up. Be good times all around.
Hi, Mom. Emmy, I just saw your mom outside. Time for you to go home for dinner.
Okay, thanks.
Why do I feel like Doc McStuffin's mom is an actual doctor? She had kind of the doctor bag, the doctor white coat.
How was work, Mom? Did you have any cool patients?
Oh,
Nothing too interesting, just a few colds. Oh, and a sprained finger.
it sounds like she's a family medicine doc because she's seeing people with colds, minor musculoskeletal complaints, which means that there's something wrong either with the muscles, nerves, or skeletal system, like the bones. I'm the type of doctor that Mama McStuffins is also. She could be also an ER doctor.
I have a really interesting patient.
Ooh, if you need a second opinion, you know where to find me.
Aw.
Okay.
So a second opinion is exactly what it sounds like. When one doctor says, here's what I think is going on, they can go see another doctor and the other doctor can lend their opinion and say, well, here's what I think. And they can either agree or disagree, and then the patient can choose whose plan to follow.
The doc is in. We have a new patient.
Ooh.
Come on out,
Ha! Big Jack's the name, Poppin's my game, and here's... Little Jack! You okay, little Jay? You're not quite popping like yourself today. He's gonna be okay, right, Doc? You can fix him, can't you? Don't worry, Big Jack. Little Jack's in good hands.
That dinosaur just gave the perfect answer. When someone's going to see the doctor, you don't want to promise that everything is going to be okay because you may not know. Little Jack is in good hands. That's the ideal way to speak as a doctor. That we're going to try our best. We're going to figure out what's going on. We're going to come up with a plan. You never want to promise anything. In medicine, there's a lot of times the outcomes are outside of our control.
Hi, Little Jack.
Aw.
Hi, Doc. I want to help you so you can pop up like you used to. Why don't I give you a checkup?
There's actually a secret that I'm going to share with everybody right now that comes from some of the leading psychologists across the world that I use in my office to get kids to trust me with their care. How often do you hear a doctor say something like, if you get this shot, you're gonna get a lollipop or a sticker? That's good. But the better way to do it is to give the lollipop first, to give the sticker first. Create a rapport, get on good terms, be happy together. Then they're more likely to trust you to get the shot, to allow you to look inside their ears and mouth. That's the secret.
Hey, Little Jack. You want to pick out a sticker that you can put on your box when you're done?
No way! Did Doc McStuffins just steal my secret that I shared with you guys? She's giving him a sticker before it starts. This is the theory of reciprocation. She's a genius.
Why don't I give Big Jack a checkup first so you can see what I'm gonna do?
Ready when you are, Doc.
See, this is a great strategy. I'm super proud of Doc McStuffins here. What she's employing is like a phobia desensitization strategy. Basically, she's allowing little Jack to see what happens because the biggest phobias happen when you fear the unknown. All right, I'm calling out the medical inaccuracy in Doc McStuffins. She's taking a blood pressure using a sphygmomanometer. However, in order to properly do this, you need to not only see the pressure, so you need some sort of gauge, but you also need to put on the stethoscope and put it on the person's artery to hear the sounds.
Looks good.
What? How does she know it looks good? Use your stethoscope, Doc McStuffins.
Now use this light to look in his eyes and ears.
Whoa! Red flag. We don't use the same instrument to look in the eyes and ears. The ophthalmoscope, which is the device that we use to look into the eyes, is flat, so you can't hurt the person. You gotta be careful.
Okay, Big Jack. Open wide. Well, Big Jack, that's it. You look healthy to me.
What about his heart and lungs, Doc McStuffins? I need a complete physical exam. You need to look at the whole patient.
I see the problem. What is it? Your clothes are stuck in your music box. That's why you can't...
That's the classic condition known as shirto-gear stocking syndrome.
This looks to me like a clear case of can't pop-itis.
Oh, come on, hers is so much better than mine. So if you have anything with an itis at the end, that just means inflammation. So I don't know why it's called can't pop-itis, but A for effort.
Almost got it. There. I did it! I can pop up again!
When kids get sick, they get really down. They have high energy levels and they get really sick and parents get scared, rightfully so. When children start feeling better, they pop, ironically, pop back to life really quickly.
You fixed it! Do it again!
Smooth with a little wink.
Only one more left before Ricardo wins the race! Come on, you can do it! Whoa, wait, what's wrong?
Don't tell me Doc McStuffins is a mechanic too.
I'm sure there's just something wrong with him. Why don't I see if I can fix it?
Good idea, Doc. And while you're doing that, I think today might be one of those days that Donnie needs a little nap.
That's a dad who knows what he's talking about. When you don't sleep enough, you get cranky.
Put me down and I'll show you that I still have plenty of zip.
Great, and I can observe what's happening to you.
You're right, I can't go on.
It sounds like the symptom is called dyspnea on exertion. It's basically when you get really tired and short of breath and you can't catch your breath when you're trying to be active, like run around or walk around.
You'll be back to winning races in no time.
You mean I can be in the best race car ever race?
I hope so.
See, again, she's not over-promising. She's saying, I hope so.
What are you gonna do, Doc?
Oh, look at Doc McStuffins washing her hands before seeing the patient. Doctors should always do that before and after seeing the patient. This type of hand hygiene decreases the likelihood that the doctor will be spreading infections to patient and also to herself.
Open wide.
Oh, that's a good.
Looks normal.
That's a good
Can
one.
you say ah for me? Okay. Now can you give me a big vroom vroom?
So the vroom vroom is like take a deep breath for me. I see the analogies.
Ricardo, you raced like a bajillion times last night, right?
Yes, a bajillion. Exactly.
And when was the last time you recharged?
Oh, you mean my batteries? Oh, I don't remember. Several days ago.
Just like I thought. You must be out of energy.
Tell me Doc McStuffins is talking about burnout. She's tackling one of the biggest issues of our time. Sometimes our batteries run out of energy and we need a recharge.
I have a diagnosis.
Oh, I want to hear it. I'm going to call it low battery itis.
No rheumatosis.
Oh, no rheumatosis. That's not bad.
Could you plug Ricardo in for me? I think he wasn't working because he was run down, so he needs to recharge.
Sure thing, sweetie. Ah, vroom, 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 vroom. I am so fast. Eat my dust.
Oh, he's dreaming. See, when we recharge, it could mean that we take a nap. It could mean we go on a vacation. It could just mean we take our cell phones and put them away and take a break from looking at all of these social media sites and everything else. I can't believe I'm getting all this philosophical stuff from watching Doc McStuffins.
Oh, wow! Oh, I feel great. Do you see?
Polarizing question. I think it's a false dichotomy. I don't think you have to say it's one thing or another, but their community seems to say that it's not a choice. So that's interesting.
Being skinny or being fat is about willpower, who you choose to associate with, what sort of things you choose to listen to, who you choose to kind of have as your friends around you and support you. All of those things are choices that you can make.
Yeah, and you could easily point it in the other direction and talk about the genetic components, the importance of those who raised you and how they taught you to think about food, the way that the frontal lobe developed when you were a child, meaning that if you had higher exposure to fatty foods growing up or unhealthy foods or ultra-processed foods, you may have a preference for that. It's not as simple as just this choice.
Even with the genetics that cause you to want to eat more, the same solution is calories in, calories out.
The calories in, calories out thing is true, but then there needs to be a little bit of nuance here. And that nuance is certain calories will lead you to metabolize foods differently. Certain calories will lead you to want to consume more or less of a certain food. And certain calories can be unhealthy for you for other reasons other than your weight. This is why we're always against starvation diets or heavily restrictive diets on this channel, because in many instances, they actually create more problems like eating disorders, disordered eating, unhealthy habits, etc.
I was supposed to get blood tested probably when I was very, very young, and I never did. And they had mentioned that it could have been because of my weight and how that connects with my thyroid. And I never had like that leaning parent to be like, go and get checked out, go and do this. Like, your weight is probably not your fault. It was always like, your weight is your fault, so that's your issue.
That's an unhealthy mindset. If I have a patient that has not been worked up for a thyroid condition, for other reasons why someone may be carrying excess weight, we absolutely would check those things. If you have low thyroid hormone, we can give you thyroid hormone to boost those levels up.
I mean, I also struggle with, thyroid and my own blood issues. I'm not quite sure, but I do see an endocrinologist and I go see a doctor.
And that's not available to everyone in the United States, especially those who don't have health insurance or are underinsured. And some people are insured but don't have adequate transportation, or they don't have paid time off from work.
As a disabled woman, I can't do a lot of the things that people say, calories in, calories out, oh, you gotta go work out and exert it. I have to navigate weight differently. I have to look at it differently. My weight is the way it is because of medication, because doctors put me in this position.
This is why the false dichotomy pops up in my head. If you're gonna be very stringent and saying being overweight is a choice, full on, you're neglecting a significant part of the population who may be having a side effect of a medication, because there's many medications that we could put patients on to protect their health that as an unwanted side effect, they put on weight or they aren't able to lose weight as easily. And then there's those with disabilities that can't burn calories as easily as some who are able-bodied. So I think probably even a better conversation to be had here is obesity a disease? The AMA and all the major organizations have made it a disease process. They've labeled it a disease. The doctors who are saying that that's not helpful are usually pointing out that when a patient feels obesity disease, they feel powerless to make the change. The way that I like to think about it is on a population level, it's certainly a disease because it affects our bodies negatively. It's certainly contributing to a public health epidemic. It's actually happening pandemic really across the world, obesity. On an individual level, we need to have providers who have good relationships with their patients to make the call. Is this something that I can present to my patient as a choice that will get them motivated? Or is this something that we can help them navigate through a medical perspective where we can give them medications, surgeries, maybe lifestyle modifications if they are going to be motivated to it, and make that call on an individual level. But again, all medicine is practiced on population-based information and the research that we have there. And then we as providers have to look at our patients as individuals and apply that knowledge. So I still think on a population level, it is a disease. And then how we attribute it to each patient and how we help each patient navigate their condition, that's going to be different. And that's okay.
I would rather be skinny than fat.
I think there's a lot of different struggles when it comes to being a bit bigger. I have a sister, she's 400 pounds, and she struggles a lot. She has lymphedema, and to shower is really, really hard. So I do think for like an overall happy life and like zero struggle, I think I'd rather be skinny.
I think what we're pointing out here is something that I frequently talk about this channel when people in the past have accused me of being fat phobic, where I'm aiming to not just prolong my patient's life and decrease their risk of disease, but also improve their quality of life. And that's exactly what she's talking about here. Being able to be independent, being able to wash yourself, have less strain on your knees, on your hips, developing arthritis early, which means that you can't exercise or move up and down on stairs in your home. And I think saying I would rather be skinny than fat doesn't mean necessarily that you hate yourself if you are in fact plus size. If you're seeking to improve because you're constantly unhappy with yourself, that might be an unhealthy coping mechanism. But if you're seeking to improve because you're seeking growth and you see it from a positive aspect rather than a hate aspect, then that could be a very healthy mechanism.
I had the most body insecurities when I was small. And rather than trying to control my body to avoid that negative attention, I would prefer to address the situation as a society. We aren't feeling like I have to be a certain way that's normal in order to be treated like a human being and respected.
One of the big takeaways from her sentence there is that she talks about how we need to address this from a societal perspective. That's absolutely true. With the way our current society is fed, with the food products that are allowed in our system, the ultra-processed foods being more readily available and cheaper than true whole food healthy products, food deserts, areas where there's not enough access to good quality foods, all of those things matter. Now, the medical perspective has probably gotten more of a highlight with medications like Ozempic and the GLP-1 agonists because that is more of a financial incentivized way of treating our obesity epidemic. It's much better to create a medication that you can make billions of dollars on than it is to create a sustainable change in our society that will lead to people losing weight.
I don't think skinny always equates to being healthy. I don't know where I'd want to lean at an appropriate weight level, but I think it's important to understand for some skinny people, we're not living a great life by any means. And sometimes I feel like that's always kind of lost in translation when they see someone who's really skinny.
Well, I think that goes to show that no matter what a person looks like, you can't know what they're going through. This is why, as a doctor, you have to walk into a room with a blank slate and not judge people, but at the same time be able to stereotype certain conditions in the sense of, okay, you're having symptom X, Y, and Z. That frequently, stereotypically, happens in condition X. So I'm gonna try and rule out condition X. So there is some stereotyping you're doing in order to come to a diagnosis, but then you don't wanna stereotype the person's behavior or their appearance. And it's very important to distinguish between positive stereotyping in healthcare and negative stereotyping in healthcare. Both truly exist.
America has an obesity problem.
I think we have a problem with how to treat obesity. I think we have a problem with how to make it so that it is not an epidemic. This is a systemic thing, that we are in a society and in an environment that breeds this. And we are doing it to ourselves, we are doing it to our children, and our corporations and our industries are doing it to us, and they aren't having to take responsibility.
This is true. The one thing that I have to point out is that this is a worldwide problem. As we have more access to food, and food is driving our happiness, and we are becoming more disconnected and more lonely, we seek food for comfort. And while companies certainly bear some share of the responsibility for making sure that they're not contributing to this problem, which they absolutely are, ultimately, it's not as simple as saying, hey, company, don't sell this product. It's easier said than done to villainize a corporation and then say at the same time, but it should be fair. How do we make that fair, that villainization?
And they're encouraging it with media. So
And the
like,
mukbangs, I was literally gonna bring that up, the mukbangs and like all those videos that just come up to trends for people
not
to do
only
it as
the
well.
mukbangs, but also like Lizzo and other big like media.
I don't think I agree with that because Lizzo has been an example of not that we're celebrating that she has excess weight. We're celebrating the fact that she's not allowing people who are being negative to her about her weight and still succeeding. So we're celebrating her success, not the fact that she's potentially carrying excess weight.
She's dressing extremely scantily clad and then saying, if you don't think that it's normal for a morbidly obese person to be wearing a G-string in the middle of public, then you're the problem. And they're trying to normalize society to this obese culture, which is extremely unhealthy.
You do need to normalize it to some degree, and I'll explain why. We're here, we're not going back. And there's a significant population in the United States that does fall under the umbrella of obesity. You can't neglect that population. You can't be destructive to them and say that anyone who is overweight should not be showing their bodies, should be hiding themselves because they're not a good example role model. That is ineffective, and that is what fat shaming is. So instead, we need to celebrate people for who they are, celebrate people for the actions they take. If they serve as good role models, celebrate those people as humans and respect them as humans. And at the same time, we can give them access to potentially lose weight, to make other changes in their lives that have nothing to do with weight that can make them healthier. But at the end of the day, like, you can't judge someone for choosing to wear a certain thing because you don't vibe with one part of their health journey. Again, it's one part of their health journey.
What is an obese culture?
A culture which like normalizes
Like, I'm obese
obesity.
and I haven't even heard that.
Well, obesity is already normal, so
well, I don't think it should be normalized.
The problem is when she says it shouldn't be normalized, what you're doing is fat shaming. You're telling people that they're abnormal. No matter if you have good intentions with that statement because you want people to be healthier, let's say, that's not a valuable thing to say to the general public. The way it needs to be done is with them coming to a conclusion of, I need to be healthier, I choose to be healthier, and then society, the medical industry, helping them reach their goals. But to say that they're not normal, you're not gonna make positive change by doing that.
Diet culture has positive effects.
Diet culture is about turning the word diet from your overall eating into an activity that takes place over a period of time. A diet should not be something you do from January until May of next year.
Yeah, what you eat should be part of your lifestyle as opposed to like the activity you're doing right now. I have to point out here, the research that we have of carrying excess weight, specifically excess fat, shows that it shortens life, it increases risk of disease. The disease is not just limited to our heart and our brains, it affects all our organs, our performance, our quality of life, our chances for independence as we age, even our fertility, cancer risk, all of those things. So we absolutely need to approach this from a societal level, a medical level, all of the above. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer. And whether or not obesity is a choice is not as simple as saying yes and no. It needs to be individualized to the person sitting in front of you. And the strategies to help that person are gonna be different than the strategies that are gonna be help another person, or the strategies that we discuss on a systemic level. And I think all of those things need to be taken into consideration. We shouldn't just seek systemic change and forget about the medical perspective. We need to do both. We shouldn't just focus on the population-based changes and forget about the individual strategies. We need to be able to do both. That's why, at the end of the day, having a good long-term relationship with a primary care doctor will go a long way to improving health outcomes. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. And the idea that the medical society is fraught with bias and all that is true, and that carrying excess weight is still unhealthy is all.
Turn up the TV.
A massive train wreck occurred just outside of Seattle minutes ago.
911. You just worked a 30-hour shift.
I don't have any clean underwear.
The Vancouver-bound train was...
That's crazy. They worked a 30-hour shift and they can get paged to go back?
Hello. I seem to be a little bit drunk. I was off duty. So was I. Anybody else half in the bottle?
No.
I don't get why she would come in to her shift if she's drunk. That's not helpful to anybody. And if she starts performing any kind of medical procedures while under the influence, that's not good for patients, that's not good for her. It's just a subpar solution, so I don't really understand what she's even doing there. She should be making a little love with McDreamy.
Was that a knock?
Yes.
Do we know what it meant?
No.
Am I invisible? How much romance? I feel like this isn't a medical show anymore. It's just a romance show. Whoa. What is that? That.
Okay, fine. Maybe it's the second one.
That was crazy.
So are you gonna pull this pole out of us anytime soon?
Touch uncomfortable. I'm sorry. We can't do that until we get a better look at what's going on internally. But I assure you, we will work as quickly as possible.
They're taking this very not seriously and a lot of humor with a pole jammed into two people's bodies. Whoa. That's all I can really say right now. Something that I think needs to be done immediately is to give them some sort of back support so that they don't get fatigued and tired and start slouching. Because if they are to slouch when they get tired, and they obviously will get tired, they can do more internal damage with that pole going through them.
You are drunk. Go get yourself a banana bag IV, put it in your arm, and then find me. Do not speak to any more patients. Do not practice any medicine.
IV drips do not stop hangovers. This is why so many people are opening these IV drip spas, especially in Vegas. I see that happen a lot, and they promise you that it's gonna block or cure your hangover. An IV will hydrate you the same that you can hydrate yourself by drinking some water or drinking some fluids with electrolytes in them. Now, that being said, it's gonna be a little bit quicker, but then again, you're also increasing risks because you're opening a hole in your skin to get that IV in. Something to mention about hangovers is that it's not all about dehydration. A hangover is like a catch-all term for all sorts of symptoms: nausea, vomiting, fatigue, dizziness, a dry mouth. Yes, hydration may help some of these things, but it's a complicated process that has a lot of things going on in it. Just giving yourself hydration is not the sole answer.
No, we're fine, honey. Yeah, some redneck tried to outrun the train, honey, and the train slammed into his ass, and then it rolled.
That hurt?
Mm-mm. Oh, no, that dude is toast.
He was doing sutures, it looked like, above her eyebrow. No doctor would perform sutures like that. Keeping your hands elevated like that from a lowered position and doing sutures, you're gonna get fatigued so quickly and your hands are gonna start shaking and you won't be able to do it right. You always need to be above the given situation.
Where you going?
I'm taking your friend for an x-ray.
No offense, little boy, but you look like my oldest son, and he's nothing but trouble.
Yvonne, shut up.
What? I said no offense. I'm just saying, are you sure you're a doctor?
I get that all the time.
What are you doing? Trying to insert my banana bag, which sounds vaguely dirty, but it isn't.
A banana bag is just an IV bag with normal saline, which is fluids with electrolytes in them. There's also some vitamins in there. Generally, this is given to people who are chronic alcoholics because they're usually nutrient depleted. Giving a banana bag to someone who's healthy and had a few drinks, pretty much useless. Just have some water and give it some time.
His legs.
What about them?
They're both left.
Find the man's leg, Yang. Find it now.
Yes, sir.
They got the wrong leg?
Going straight through her spine.
And why did she say it only then?
These people are still alive?
They're still making small talk.
Post-tamponading the wound as far as we can see.
When she says that the wound is being tamponaded by the pole, it means that it's exerting pressure and actually preventing them from bleeding. That's why if you ever get stabbed with something, it's never ideal to just pull it out automatically until you have medical care. That object, whatever it is putting pressure to stop the bleeding.
What if we move one of the patients off the pole to get the saw in there? Then we can hold the pole steady in the other one. Move it very slowly and repair the damage as we go.
Who? Which would you move?
With her aortic injuries, her chances of survival are extremely slim no matter what we do.
I don't really buy the realism of this. The aorta is a pulsatile vessel, meaning that every time the heart beats, the aorta moves. So if you have a metal pole that's going through the aorta and has cut it open, there's no way that pole is putting that much pressure that it's preventing her from bleeding out, unless it's like crushing it or compressing it in such a weird way.
So basically, whoever you move doesn't stand a chance.
Why can't they just cut the pole from in between them and then separate
So
them?
how do
and
you
go?
choose? How do you decide who gets to live?
You're a cute doctor. Cute doctors get to call me by my first name.
Bonnie.
Okay, Bonnie. Oh, McDreamy. Can you feel me rubbing your foot?
Could you try to wiggle your toes, Mr. Maynard?
Are they moving?
Yes, they are.
Good. That's good, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
What about me? Am I moving?
Yes, they are.
Yay, me.
That's probably one of the situations it's okay to lie to a patient.
Is there any chance that we can get out of here sometime this year?
Well, the lab's backed up, and so is radiology, and I can't discharge your friend until I'm certain she doesn't have any internal injuries.
Nowadays, we decide if someone has internal bleeding with an ultrasound called a fast scan.
If I don't find this leg, the chief is going to cut me from this program, and I cannot go back home, Burke. It is too sunny in Los Angeles. It's sunny every day.
I don't understand what she expects. Does she think that the chief is going to be like, you couldn't find this leg in the rubble, so that's it, you're cut from the program? I don't understand what her thinking is. Is this supposed to be like a comedic aspect? Is she being sarcastic?
In order to operate on Mr. Maynard, we have to separate you two. In order to do that, we have to move you backwards off the pole.
Can't just pull the pole out of both of us?
Well, if we did that, you would both start bleeding very quickly. Too quickly. Right now, the pole is plugging the wounds. Once removed, the organs will shift. And there's a great deal of damage.
So, if you move me, I'll die?
You're being ridiculous. You're gonna be fine. Do you hear me?
I hear you, but we still have to sign the forms. Unless you want our son to end up with my mom.
How long have you two been together?
Since 3rd grade.
Aw.
We're not lovers. We're best friends.
Oh.
We just wanted our kids to have 2 parents. So we got a sperm donor.
The same donor. So your baby's your brother and sister?
Oh, how cool is that?
Oh my God. God, who writes this stuff?
Yvonne, that's your phone. Yvonne. Yvonne. Yvonne!
Uh-oh. Yvonne looks like she passed out. Okay, first thing you do during your code blue, chest compressions, chest compression, chest compression, chest compressions. But also, before you call a code blue, you gotta check for a pulse, because code blue means someone's heart has stopped. And just because someone's unconscious, it doesn't mean they're a code blue. So my man needed to go right up there to the carotid, or to the femoral artery, or to the radial artery. This is usually the best place, and feel if there's a pulse. If there's no pulse, yelling for help while doing chest compressions.
She's lost too much blood. She's been bleeding for hours.
There's no blood. She's not bleeding.
She was bleeding internally.
What's interesting about the abdominal cavity is that the back portion, the posterior portion, which we call the retroperitoneal area, it could actually store a lot of blood. So you can be having a very slow leak of blood into that area and not really know that you're bleeding out. The one thing that makes this less likely is that she was talking, she was moving around. Generally, if you're losing blood, you start having symptoms like you feel fatigued, your eyes are closing, you you feel like you're gonna faint or pass out. Your blood pressure starts dropping. You can even be having some abdominal pain because blood is a natural irritant to the abdominal cavity. So you start feeling pain, and then once we do our exam, we'll note that you have an acute abdomen. We would do an ultrasound or a CAT scan, find the bleeding, and then take you in for what we call an explorative laparotomy, where we literally open up your stomach. By stomach, I mean the skin of your abdomen. Look around, check the entire intestines, find where you're bleeding, fix that area, put everything back in, sew you back up, and get you up and moving again. But in this case, she's lost so much blood that she went into cardiac arrest, meaning her heart stopped. Now he's doing the advanced cardiac life support procedure where he's giving epinephrine, he's doing chest compressions, he's helping her breathe with the bag, and hopefully trying to get her pulse back and get her heart beating again.
Oh, no, Yvonne!
Sorry. Time of death, 2:51.
Watch your head. Cool down.
Meredith.
Dr. Gray.
Meredith.
What about her? We cannot just abandon her. We have an obligation.
I'll take care of this. Meredith, come on. There was too much damage. There was never anything we could do. We have to let her go. Time of death, 3:49.
One of the most difficult parts about medicine is triage, knowing who you can help in a given moment and knowing where to use resources when they're very limited. Some of those decisions are heart-wrenching. They're incredibly difficult to make. At times it feels like you're playing God and it's putting you in the most unfair situations, but you have to do your best given what limited resources you have and what limited information you have to make the best possible and fairest decision. I applaud all first responders in these types of mass casualty situations. Growing up in New York City, thinking about 9/11, what that must have been like for people who were working in the local New York City hospitals. It scares me, it blows my mind all at the same time. I've trained in level 1 trauma centers during my medical school time, and just having a few people come in with gunshot wounds or knife wounds or bicycle accidents, those are incredibly stressful situations. You never know what to expect. You always have to be thinking quickly on your feet. So then to imagine what it must be like when hundreds of people or even thousands of people are coming in, wow. So huge thank you to all the people that have ever been involved or may ever be involved in those types of situations in the future. We really respect you and thank you for your service.
Did she suffer?
No. Her injury.
Again, these conversations don't happen in the open. This is not right.
Better get cleaned up. Rounds. 5 minutes.
Today's been
I don't get it. They work 30 hours, then they come in for an emergency, look like they worked for another 12 hours. They've been working for 42, now they're going to morning rounds. Do they ever get time off? Oh man, you guys recommended a doozy here. It presented an interesting situation, unfortunate for the patient that died. Kind of shows you that doctors are sometimes put into really tight spots where they have to use limited information, limited resources, and sometimes let one life go in order to save another, and that's a very, very, very unfair and tight situation that we find ourselves in. That's what we asked for when we decided to go into medicine, and that's why it's a beautiful field, and we get so much admiration put upon us as doctors because we have to make those decisions. I like Grey's Anatomy. It's a fun show. There's a lot of drama in it. So if you have some more episodes, maybe ones that are more medical and less like, oh my God, McDreamy, does he love me? Does he love me not? Like, I know that's important, but I would love to comment on some more medical aspects of the show. Drop
Clerical work, transpo, keeping patients company.
Yes. Babysitting, great.
That's right, Georgia.
This feels like the exact same intro that I think Grey's Anatomy started when we did our first Grey's Anatomy review. It feels like a little hazing is happening here. And we don't haze our volunteers in the hospital.
Ambulance bay needs hands. Patient Dr. Hembry and everyone on call. Metro bus crashed downtown. We're about to be at capacity.
Somewhat similar does happen in the hospital. We have a triage nurse. For example, if I have a patient in my outpatient center that I need to be seen in the ER, I call ahead, the nurse triages it, gets the doctor ready. If we need a trauma bay, they get that ready, all the equipment. You want to be prepared.
This is Maeve. She's our top second year. She's gonna finish the tour while I go home. I'll be back when I can.
I also didn't know that volunteers have years of seniority. Like residents have that, like first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and they have seniority over each other. I feel like this show is grooming teens to become hardcore fans of Grey's Anatomy. What were those chest compressions? What is this? You gotta use the full weight of your body.
This is gonna suck.
This is gonna be amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, the person who's there on the first day of introductions and they're taking notes, I was always super intimidated by that person. Should I be taking notes? Am I missing something? What if they're gonna know something I don't? And then I realized sometimes you need to take notes and sometimes you just need to be there, present as a human.
There's a lunch tray in here for everyone. Make sure everyone eats at least half before you leave.
What happened to a proper orientation? Teaching them how to use safety equipment, knowing when to notify senior staff, putting on gloves and gowns. These things need to be taught. And I hope they were checked for their immunizations because the last thing we want is our volunteers spreading illness throughout the hospital.
Why did you volunteer to work at a hospital?
I got arrested. Beats juvie.
Do not blow into a glove with your mouth before you put it in. A, it's not really hygienic because you have a lot of bacteria in your mouth. But number two, there's humidity that comes from your mouth. And have you ever tried to put your hand into a wet, moist glove? And it's hard. Fun fact, those beds are accurate, they're legit, and they're insanely expensive. ICU beds are $25,000 to $30,000 each. I've seen those go even higher. And medical beds, which are just the plain ones, are $5,000 to $10,000 a bed. Imagine a 300-bed hospital. It's a lot of moolah.
I'm a little worried right now because I'm losing a lot of blood. And my favorite sweatshirt.
You should be fine to wait a little. If you hit an artery, you would have passed out by now.
Oh, we have pre-med students up in here. She's like, if you hit an artery, you wouldn't be here right now. Yes, but why in the world is she making contact with a patient and giving medical advice? Huge no-no to our volunteers. Can you be there? Can you help them out? Can you do all these things? Yes, but you're not trained to give medical care, no matter how many of my YouTube videos you've watched.
6-year-old female, 3rd-degree burns, possible smoke inhalation. We couldn't get a line in.
Give me a 24-needle norepinephrine. What else can I do?
Oh, you've done more than enough. You can go back to your normal duties.
Okay.
She's close to coding.
Come on, show me a vein.
None of this is medically accurate. She's close to coding? What? If a patient's not breathing, that means they're coding. That means they're dead and you need to bring them back to life. And that means you need to do chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions. And this doctor asking for a 24-gauge needle, I don't even understand what he's hoping to do here. If he's trying to start an IV, you don't start an IV with a 24-gauge needle. You start with an 18-gauge needle, which is much wider. None of this makes sense. I love that the doctor, while he's reaching for the syringe, he's reaching for it and he's still tapping on her elbow. Like, what are you doing, my man? What are you tapping for there? What are you trying to find?
What did you do to get arrested?
In prison, you're never supposed to ask about the crime. Come on, dude. You're the last one. You have to eat. Hey, don't ignore me.
Hey, Jack, maybe try a gentler approach.
Oh, God, this is so awkward. It's cringy. Hey, why don't you try a gentler approach?
Stevie, sweetie, you need to eat to get big and strong and feel better.
No.
It's actually really good. Let me show you.
Did she really take a bite off the spoon and then she is giving the same spoon to the child? Oh. I love that my man is just standing there in a shearling jacket. Maybe take it off. Make yourself like you're at work. Put on a uniform, not a fancy jacket like you're part of an after-school play for the Lost Boys.
What are you doing?
Oh.
Don't come any closer.
I don't think that's gonna hurt anyone.
Depends where I put it.
The cardiac rhythm behind them is like the scariest rhythm ever. And there's 10 of them, go figure why, in different colors. They were like, let's just put them all on the screen because they're colorful.
Squeeze as tight as you can. Now don't worry about hurting her. Good.
What is-
A minute longer. And we're in.
What is he doing? This is just insanity.
Keep up the rescue breaths.
Nothing changed on the screen! What is happening? This could be the worst medical show in the history of medical shows. Doc McStuffins was more accurate.
Busboy, why are you back here?
Just waiting to get my stitches removed.
Mind if I take a look?
Two problems here. One, why in the world do you go to the emergency room to get your stitches removed? You could go to your primary care doctor's office and save a huge ER bill and a wait in the ER. Two, why is the volunteer taking a look at anything medical? That is not ethical, it's wrong.
Sutures look like they healed nicely. Shouldn't have too much of a scar.
This is like what people must think happens in hospitals. Like the writer was, I wonder what volunteers do. They must help with patients. No, they don't. Can you imagine someone with zero medical experience giving out medical advice? Oh wait, that's like Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. I guess it does happen.
Damn! Nurse Sandy told me to be careful. One of the boys bullied the other, and it's pretty dangerous.
Oh, bullies are scary.
I've never seen a medical uniform specify the age of the person wearing it. It doesn't say medical volunteer, it says teen volunteer. Who needs to know that information?
Where are you headed?
I was on my way to the supply room for supplies.
That's funny. So was I.
I didn't know you were Dr. Henry's protege.
I didn't know that volunteers were considered proteges. I used to think that would be a role for residents or med students, nurses.
Smart is the new sexy. I read that somewhere.
Cringe. Cringe. I appreciate it though. I like people representing smart folks. The fact that he said he read it somewhere means he reads.
I'm so sorry you're hurting. How about an ice pack for that eye?
No, I'm good.
Can I get you some pudding? Juice?
You know what's really important? Whenever a patient is admitted into a hospital or coming into the emergency room, there are certain orders that we place as doctors, whether or not a patient is allowed to eat and what kind of diet they have to follow. Because some patients have trouble swallowing certain foods. Some patients should be NPO, which means nothing by mouth, because they're going for a procedure or perhaps a surgery. So the fact that these kids are running around the hospital and offering people food, while is nice in theory, that's not their job. And they need to be really careful who they're feeding, because if someone is going for a surgery in an hour and they give them a sandwich, that's a problem because the surgery is gonna get canceled.
You know, I've never been in a fight. Maybe you can give me some pointers.
I'm not sure this device that he has on his head, I've never seen it before. I honestly don't think it's a medical device, but because I haven't seen it and because I'm not technically a trauma surgeon, I'm not gonna comment on it. Looks shady though.
You really don't know where the bandages are?
Oh, I do. I just needed an excuse to get you in here.
You don't even.
If you hadn't snitched, I'd still be on the lacrosse team. I should have hit you harder.
Hey, enough! What is it with you kids? You can't follow the simplest instructions.
I love that all the medical dramas are all doctors doing everything. Transporting patients, ordering tests, performing the surgeries, talking to the patients, everything is them. And in this show, the volunteers are the only ones. They're treating the patients, they're breaking up the fights, they're making out in the hallways. What is going on? Include other characters. Healthcare is a collaboration.
You're supposed to protect your patient, kid.
What are they, police officers? You're supposed to protect and serve as a volunteer.
Can you tell me what happened to Holden? No updates, kid. Holden has a severe heart condition.
We don't give patient information out to volunteers just because they have crushes on them. Patient information is a protected entity. Oh my God, for a chocolate bar?
Is he gonna be okay? It's not a good prognosis, but he's at Attaway General getting the best care there is.
I may have to disagree with you on that little point. In fact, probably more like Attaway Funeral Home as opposed to Attaway General Hospital. Dog is adorable. First of all, nobody wants to hear it. They ask you being polite, but then if you start telling them about your anatomy lab, your OMT lab, your boards that are coming up, people are just like, doctor, can you show me where the pain is coming from? Me shows a text that has been seen with no reply. If I'm struggling in a relationship, I would just show a text from my ex and I'll be like, sadness? It's probably better that Doctor Strange became a superhero because his sterile technique is cringeworthy. Oh, I'm excited for this.
Strange. It's strange.
Oh, did he touch his face mask after washing? Doctor Strange, that is a no-no. Some girl at my college came to the chemistry lab wearing flip-flops. The instructor made her do this. Always use protection, folks. And I'm not talking about condoms. Well, I am talking about condoms, but I'm also talking about your feet. If you spill hydrochloric acid, you will burn your foot. Your feets. Do not burn your feet. When you cannot mentally take in any more information, so you resort to physically transferring it. Doctor, I've got some bad news. Me. Lay it on me gently. Doctor. Okay. Knock, knock. Me. Who's there? Herpes. Here's the deal with herpes. You shouldn't try and get it, but if you get it, it's not the end of the world. A lot of people think herpes is some sort of deadly illness. For the huge majority of the time, it has no bearing on your life, outside of some discomfort or physical symptoms or a rash popping up. When surgery turns up the jam in the OR. Yo, surgery room gets lit. $50 to walk in the door, prescribes green tea with lemon and honey. I just paid a copay for you to tell me to drink honey? My grandma told me I can have honey. What did you go to school for? I just saved you unnecessary antibiotics that had you have taken unnecessarily for your viral illness, you would have then developed diarrhea down here, possibly a rash up here, possibly anaphylaxis in here, which means your throat closes and you end up putting on gloves, alone, in front of other doctors. When you're alone, your palms aren't sweating. When you walk into the surgery room, the OR, as a new student and you haven't been there a lot, your palms just start spraying sweat like it's sprinkler fluid. Sprinkler fluid? I remember when I was a resident and I was nervous doing a procedure and I was putting on the gloves in front of a patient. It looked like it was my first time putting on the gloves. The patient was probably like, dude, this guy doesn't know how to put on gloves. I'm not getting sick during my peds rotation. I remember I'm on peds in the hospital and I'm doing my rounds and I'm all cheery and I'm like, okay, little baby, say ah. And just as I say ah, the baby goes right into my mouth. I tasted the baby's saliva and they had Coxsackie. It's a virus. Ugh. Doctor, his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on the sweater already. Did you just quote Eminem? Ma'am, your husband's alcohol problem is not a joke. On the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down the whole... Okay. Oh yeah, didn't James Charles just... Yo, James Charles got demonetized for some craziness for singing like womp womp womp. Yo, M, please. We have a lot in common. I'm from Russia, you're from Detroit. I'm white, you're white, you rap, I don't. Don't demonetize me, bruh. When your attending gives incorrect instructions, but you really want a letter of recommendation, you have to figure out a way to tell them that you don't think it's right or what you've read is wrong. Trying to learn a new skill in medicine,
okay,
like...
hand up for you, okay? Let mommy go. 2, 3. Feet left.
Go ahead, Win.
Okay, now Winston goes and you wink.
Go ahead, D. Oh, shit.
Open up, please. Me. Sometimes I get sad. It's really funny. I like this one. This one makes me happy. I don't know why. But yeah, it's okay to get sad. You only appreciate the sunrise when you've seen the sunset. Me. I think I have cancer. Doctor, it's all in your head. Phew. A bunch of tumors all in your head. Yeah, that's a meme. Your patient drinks, smokes, consumes 6 cups of coffee daily, has diabetes, high cholesterol, BMI of 40, BP 160 over 110, doesn't adhere to his meds, but he takes a daily multivitamin. Why are you still alive? I don't know if any of you have ever heard of House of God. It's a great book, Samuel Shem. It always talks about the unhealthiest people living the longest. It feels like they never croak. Their blood pressure is poorly controlled, they're overweight, they don't take their medications appropriately, but then they're like, oh, but I take my Flintstones daily vitamin. When you scrub in for the first time and walk up to the operating table like, I'm not sure what to do with my hands. Honestly, it's true because you have to keep your hands like this, or like this, or like this, because you can't drop them too low because that area is not sterile. You can't put them on your face because that's not sterile. So you have to like keep everything like this. And if you sneeze, you have to sneeze forward. The worst thing that you can do is turn to the side and sneeze, because then all the sneeze particles comes out onto the patient from the side of your mask. Texas, 14-year-old virgin falls pregnant after flu shot. Hell no. Why myself or my kids will never get the flu shot? One of the many reasons. What? Unless you're dating a guy and you've nicknamed him Flu Shot, ain't no way a flu shot's getting you pregnant, baby boo. Nurse. You may not feel anything from the waist down. Him. Just then? What? Oh. I would have written this meme as, you may not feel anything from the waist down. And I want to say as him, wanna bet?
You are the mother. You are great. You are magnificent. You can do whatever you want to do in this world. Get your mother shine on today because you can.
I'm officially changing my alarm clock to that because we all need a little inspiration in the morning. This isn't just for healthcare workers. Many top scientists are on the autism spectrum. So technically, autism causes vaccines. What movie is this from with The Rock? This looks old school, but yeah. No, it doesn't! Mike, carbs are bad for you. Also, Mike eats Kinder eggs. Dude, keto for 30 days with no carbs, no sugar was tough. So when I finish keto and I get a package of Kinder eggs, you best bet I'm gonna go in. So do you like touch my balls first or how does this work? Steven, I'm your dentist. Hold on a second, this picture is not accurate. Why does he have the stethoscope? Doctor, it's okay, your wife's in a better place. Heaven, my apartment. Oh my God. When the parents refuse all vaccines and the newborn screening because they're all natural, but then demand a circumcision. I love this guy's meme face. I don't know what's been going on with circumcision lately being in the news. Everyone's talking about it. There's a huge uproar. There are health benefits to getting a circumcision. There are health risks to getting a circumcision. The health benefits are pretty few and far in between, but if some people for religious reasons want to get one and there are some health benefits, we do them. Let's make a circumcision video. No, wait, that sounds bad. Let's make a video discussing circumcision. I pass this every day and it always seems like someone caught in a lie. Where do you work? Oh, the medical building. Oh, what's the address? 12345? Geez, what do you do there? It's the surgery center. I didn't even see the 12345. That's crazy. Sure, you're a doctor. Then how do you explain all your free time? That's a question I can relate to. Making YouTube videos, going on television. I mean, Ryan Seacrest the other day was like, are you a real doctor? Michael Strahan's like, are you a real doctor? Yes, I'm a real doctor. Board certified family physician here. What's up, y'all? Other student, how are rotations going? What I say, living the dream. What I mean. Doctor, any drugs? Patients in the ER? Nope. I'll have young folks come in and they look like they just came from a rave concert, from Ultra, Coachella, Burning Man, whatever it is. And they're like, I don't feel good, doc. And I'm like, well, tell me what's been going on. What'd you got? Oh, I just came back from this concert. We were raving all weekend. Well, did you do any drugs? No. Did you drink any alcohol? No. Tell me, let's talk about it. How can I help you if I don't know the truth? Vaccines cause adults. I'll take all the immunity you got. Thanks, fam. I would wear that shirt. Vaccines cause adults. You know what's funny? I could totally see an anti-vax person seeing that, be like, oh my God, you believe in that too? When a patient's blood pressure is off, so the attending asks you to take it manually, thinking it'll somehow be more accurate. Aw, it's so easy to check blood pressure. You should know how to do it. Do not lose your art of the physical exam. Do you need another stool sample, doctor? I didn't even ask for the first. Doctor, your wife is pregnant. No, she isn't. I was wearing a condom. Yeah, but I wasn't. Why are all the things about doctors cheating with their patients' wives? I don't understand. Ask yourself, is she actually thick or is she just suffering from lumbar lordosis? Whenever you say lordosis or kyphosis, that's actually the curvature of the spine. And if you have extra kyphosis or extra lordosis, it accentuates that curve. Doctor, you're gonna be a vegetable for the rest of your life. Patient, I'm vegan, so that's amazing. Speaking of vegan, about to make a 30-day vegan video.
A month ago, you were in med school being taught by doctors. Today, you are the doctors.
First of all, I've never heard a speech given that dramatically on an intern's first day. Nobody really talks like that. It's much more practical.
5 of you will crack under the pressure. 2 of you will be asked to leave. This is your starting line. This is your arena.
This sounds like Hunger Games more than it does Grey's Anatomy.
No, I'm not gay. It's just that, you know, you were very unforgettable.
O'Malley, Yang, Gray, Steven.
We do get ready together in the mornings. There are locker rooms like this. It's funny to say, but because doctors spend a lot of time in books while in medical school, they're not the greatest at interacting with others or maybe even showing interest in the opposite sex. So I've seen situations like this happen a lot, where someone's trying to make conversation, but they're not great at it, so it comes off very awkward. It's funny, but this is very accurate.
Your first shift starts now and lasts 48 hours. Your interns, grunts, nobodies, bottom of the surgical food chain.
Residents don't work 48-hour calls anymore. They're capped at 80 hours per week. Maybe they go a little bit over that sometimes, but 48 hours is just non-existent. And this started because of the Libby Zion law, which is sadly the name of a young girl who died because residents who were so overworked, they missed catching a diagnosis and she ultimately died.
Run labs, write orders, work every second night until you drop, and don't complain. On call rooms, attending call them, sleep when you can, where you.
The on-call rooms look exactly like this. They're very plain, they're very basic. The hospital doesn't budget or allocate any money towards them. You have to change your own sheets. The mattresses are basically plastic, uncomfortable. So this is very accurate.
Dr. Bailey, that's shotgunner.
That means every test in the book, CT, CBC, Chem 7, tox screen.
I love how simply the attending came in and made that decision. He basically saw maybe the chart, maybe a brief explanation of what happened, why the patient came in, and he already has a shotgun approach to this. This is not how medicine works. That's ineffective. You need to have a presumed diagnosis in place so that the labs and tests you order actually confirm a diagnosis. You can't just throw stuff against the wall, shotgun against the wall, whatever he said, and hope something sticks. The only time that is appropriate is if you have no idea why a young, otherwise healthy patient with an unknown history comes in with some sort of weird presentation. Then you can start ordering a broad range of tests. But they knew she had a seizure history, so why are they doing a CT scan? I need more info. More info, please.
Hello? You're so lost. What are you, like, new?
This is where these medical dramas get me. They make it seem like the doctors do everything from A to Z. They diagnose the patient, they run the tests on the patient, they draw the blood, they transport the patient. We have nurses, we have MAs, we have transport staff, we have PT therapists, we have respiratory therapists. I understand that they're trying to build up characters, so they're trying to show as much of them as possible.
I'm just gonna insert my fingers into your rectum.
Why fingers? Just one finger.
Bet you missed a lot when you first started out.
No one was ever that mean. People wanted you to learn, they wanted you to get better. If you go into every procedure or every moment within residency with the concept that you want to learn and you want to do better, people respect that. So I don't necessarily get this hatred that these poor interns are getting. Our cafeterias are bare bones, with usually not the greatest food available. In fact, this is what surprises me most about hospitals. We try and tell people to eat healthy and stay healthy, but the only options to eat are pizza, burgers, chicken fingers, the most unhealthy foods possible. It's crazy to me.
You know what? I'm not the doctor. I'm a doctor, but I'm not Katie's doctor, so I'll go get him for you.
Very common situation to find yourself in, especially on nights when you're covering for the entire hospital and some medical emergency happens. The family wants answers. They have a lot of very important questions that they need answered, but you don't know the patient. You need to put a lot of information together rather quickly and create a thought process that the family can follow along with you so they know what's going on. You don't have to give a direct answer. A lot of residents, young residents especially, think that if they don't have the exact right truthful answer, they're bad. That's not true. Even seasoned attendings know that there's times to say, we don't know yet what's going on.
Dr. Shepard, he's over there.
Why did I know this McDreamy guy is gonna pop into scene? Oh wait, did they not know each other?
Dr. Shepard, this is inappropriate. Has that ever occurred to you?
I agree with her. In a position of power, you should not be involved in these types of situations. They don't happen that often. As much as we like to believe that there's so much love and drama going on in hospitals, it doesn't happen as much as you think it does. But I have a little she may come back for more with the wonderful Dr. Shepard.
Let's move.
Usually we wear eye protection because if blood squirts out into your eye, that's pretty dangerous. So at least have goggles or the face shield that comes attached to the mask.
appendix is
Not bad.
That was rather quick. I guess that's for TV's sake. In reality, there's a lot of conversation that occurs between the attending and the intern, especially with identifying landmarks. They'll often ask you really hard questions, and we call that pimping. And they'll ask you questions that are unrelated to the case, so you prepared for this case, but they'll ask you something else. It's very common.
Bucky, give him a clamp.
BP's dropping.
He's choking.
Come on, George.
Today, pull your balls out of your back pocket. Let's go.
Who talks like that? Pull your balls out of your back pocket.
007 is a state of mind.
Well, it says the girl who finished first in her class at Stanford.
We lived with the vending machines. I used to eat Snickers galore when I forgot to bring my healthy alternatives from home.
Mr. Jones has chunky veins and he really needs antibiotics. I should start a central line.
So start one. You don't know how.
Clearly I'm very passionate about this. Starting a central line just because you couldn't get a vein with a needle prick is crazy. It's crazy. You're putting the patient at risk.
Dr. Bailey, I don't mean to bother you, but...
Then don't.
It's Mr. Jones.
Is he dying?
No.
Then stop talking to me.
She should have gone to a nurse because nurses have way more experience than even doctors in getting a blood draw.
Next time you wake me, you better be so close to dead.
And that patient doesn't look alive for some reason. Oh, no, he blinked. Okay, he's alive.
Are you sure that's the right diagnosis?
Well, I don't know. I'm only an intern. Here's an idea. Why don't you go spend 4 years in med school and then let me know if it's the right diagnosis?
Ooh. That's what we call a cowboy intern. Basically, a cowboy intern is someone who is so confident in their diagnosis that they start their treatment, they don't explore any other options, they don't have a good differential, meaning other options of what the illness could be. Nurses keep the hospital running. Without them, we would not be able to do our jobs. A lot of times they'll catch our mistakes, they'll be able to identify things we could be doing better. This is the most drama I've ever seen happen in the first 24 hours of being an intern.
The Razepam's not working.
Phenobarbital. Load her with phenobarbital.
Okay, when you say load her with phenobarbital, that's not an order. You need to give the dosage. The nurse needs to say back to you to make sure that she heard the same thing that you said. Otherwise, if the nurse misheard you and you didn't even give the instruction of how much to give, they can give any dose, and that could be lethal to a patient, so that's not real.
Heart stop.
Okay, so heart stopping, that's the code blue. I've talked about this before. Now the patient is dead. If the heart has stopped, the patient is technically dead, and you have to work to revive them to get their heart started back up again. As the resident in charge, you have to instantly give roles to everybody. You do chest compressions, you do this, you give the medications, you monitor the rhythm strip. The most important role being chest compressions. You have to do chest compressions. You cannot stop doing chest compressions. So if you have one person that's giving bad chest compressions because they're tired, you instantly have to swap them out because chest compressions is what extends and saves lives. So right now, them not doing chest compressions is awful. The first thing you do is chest compressions.
Wait. Charge pulse.
Whoa. I hope she's not gonna shock the patient. Oh my God, please tell me she's not gonna. No.
Clear.
No, what are you doing, Grey's Anatomy? No.
Still VFib, nothing.
No. Oh, she's in
19
VFib?
seconds. Charge
Then why does it
300.
sound like she's flatlining? I've never thrown up in a hospital. I've never seen a doctor throw up in the hospital unless they were sick. Yeah, when things go wrong, you get nauseous. That's part of life. I mean, there's difficult moments that happen. There's times where you're gonna be humbled. I mean, every day I walked into the hospital as a resident, I was humbled. There's a reason why we call it practicing medicine, because we're all practicing, we're all learning, we're all adapting, we're all trying to get better. And the human body is a crazy, crazy thing that we still don't have perfect knowledge of. So I feel for her a little bit, you know, just a little bit. A little dramatic, but I feel for her. There's our man.
A seizure disorder. Now you're saying it isn't?
I'm saying that I don't know.
What do you
Oh, my man McDreamy saying my line. Real doctors are comfortable saying, I don't know. Because in reality, there's a lot we don't know. And when cases get very complex, like this young girl who's otherwise healthy is having seizures and then her heart stopping, it's a very unusual case. Very, very unusual.
I want someone else. A doctor who knows what they're doing. You get me someone else. someone better than you.
These types of conversations do happen. This is real life. People get very, very upset. It takes a lot of patience to deal with these issues. I've seen doctors get mad and snap. What I do is if I feel like I'm getting angry as well, I step away from the situation, let both parties cool down, and then come back and explain calmly what we're working on. Because if you just say we don't know with no follow-up, it seems like you're not doing anything. But if you say we don't know, but here's what we think it might be and here's what we're working towards, that's a much better answer.
He'll be fine, right?
Tony's gonna sail through. You have nothing to worry about. Promise.
Patients need reassurance. You need to give honest reassurance without over-promising them results.
What are you doing? I'm suturing a banana with the vain hope that it wakes up my brain.
Suturing bananas, suturing pig's feet is something very common that med students and interns do. So it is true.
She's gonna die if I don't make a diagnosis, which is where you come in. I can't do it alone. I need your extra minds, extra eyes.
This is very dramatic. Every day we have meetings known as rounds where we sit around a table like this, we present a complicated patient, we give the history, we give the physical, we give the test results, and we all brainstorm ideas of what it could be, how we would approach the case, and it's very good practice even if we already know the outcome, but sometimes we don't know the outcome and we are brainstorming like you said here, but it's not this dramatic.
Can't comment, make a face, or react in any way. We had sex.
Bum, bum, bum.
Katie competes in beauty pageants.
I know that, but we have to save her life anyway.
Okay, she has no headaches, no neck pain, her CT is clean. There's no medical proof of an aneurysm.
First of all, this is known as a HIPAA violation. They're basically talking about a patient's case using her name in front of other people who are not involved in her case, and that is strictly against the law. They could get sued for millions of dollars, and rightfully so, because you shouldn't be discussing patient information in elevators. In fact, in most hospitals, you'll see a sign in the elevator that says, please don't discuss patient information.
Wow, that was quick.
His heart had too much damage to get him off bypass. Had to let him go. It happens rarely, but it does happen. The worst part of the game.
Ooh, and he gave that promise to the family saying that he's definitely gonna make it.
Tony's heart had a lot of damage.
You don't do this type of conversation in an open setting like this. You invite the family into a counseling room, you explain what happened, but you don't do it out in the open like this because this is just gonna end badly.
You shouldn't let the fact that we had sex get in the way of you taking your shot.
Shouldn't have had sex, period. Dr. Shepard.
Name the common causes of post-op fever.
The 5 W's, bruh.
Can anybody name the common causes of post-op fever?
Atelectasis, UTI.
Wind, water, wound, walking, wonder drugs.
Yeah, she got the 5 W's.
How would you diagnose?
I hope she says CT scan.
Spiral CT.
And not like
BQ
a BT
scan,
scan or something.
provide O2, dose with heparin, and consult for an IVC filter.
No! She just gave all of the options that you have in testing somebody for a pulmonary embolism, as well as treatments that you may give to someone with a pulmonary embolism.
I'd know you anywhere. You're the spitting image of your mother. Welcome to the game.
Welcome to the game. I've never heard a doctor speak like that. Welcome to the game. You never want to sleep on a stretcher as a resident because it's bad luck. It basically says that you're gonna wind up on a stretcher. You have the on-call rooms, you have couches you could knock out on. So sleeping on a stretcher, that's just bad form.
I should go do this.
You should.
The romance is real.
I'll see you around.
I thought McDreamy would have a little more muscle on him. He kind of is looking a little frail there. Boom, there you have it. My first Grey's Anatomy episode is in the books, and you were here to experience it with me. All in all, I'm pleasantly surprised with this Grey's Anatomy episode because I assume there's gonna be just way more loving and sex, and that's what the whole show is gonna be about. And in reality, it did take a deep dive into how a resident feels and what their work is like, so I thought that was pretty good and it surprised me. Medical accuracy, obviously weak, but I don't think most people watch Grey's Anatomy because they want to become doctors and they want to learn about the human body. I think it's an entertainment show first and foremost, and I think it does a great job at that. I told you if you got my real doctor versus TV doctor video to 10,000 likes, I would watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and I did as promised. So now, if you want me to watch another episode of Grey's Anatomy, one of your favorites, or The Good Doctor, or House, leave it down below in the comments. Get this video now to 15,000 likes, which I know you're totally capable of because the last video you got to like 19,000 likes. A lot of my patients come in and say they have a fever because they're running 99.5, but that's not a fever, technically speaking. You are hot though. Mommy cusses. Found out at my doctor's appointment that the disturbing voices I've been hearing nonstop are called children. That's good. Bill Murray? Did Bill Murray tweet this? I hate when I'm on the treadmill and my hand accidentally hits the stop button and I have to get off and eat a bacon grilled cheese sandwich. Don't hit the stop button. Unless it's an emergency, of course. And don't get a bacon grilled cheese sandwich. First date, her. I'm really only interested in inner beauty, me. Oh, I see. Second date, me. So I scheduled us for colonoscopies. That's funny. That's not the inner beauty that you want to see because I will tell you, unless you do really good colon prep, which means drinking that stuff that makes you clear out, the colon is not a pretty place to be. Taming Fred Savage. I don't know who Fred Savage is. Me. Donating body to science. Science donates my body to Goodwill. That's not how it works. First of all, everyone should highly recommended by me become an organ donor. All the myths out there about doctors not caring about you because you're an organ donor and they'll let you die, it's all nonsense. Nonsense. When I'm working in the ER, I have no idea who's an organ donor and who's not. Only once the patient passes do we even begin to look for that information. And we don't donate the bodies to Goodwill. I found out it takes 42 muscles to frown, so I went ahead and canceled my gym membership. I don't know if it's 42 muscles, but I know it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. That's why I'm always smiling, because I'm lazy. Rodney LaCroix. I wonder if he owns the water. Rich? Doctor, do you exercise? Me, yes. Smoke? No, never. Drink? Yes. How often? 4 kids. Heavily. Got it. I long and love for those honest conversations. As a family medicine doc, you're talking to someone who's stressed out. They're not so excited to be at a doctor's office because they have a million other things to do. But you just have this like connection where they tell you about their life, you understand their struggles, you help them, you try and make their life not only a little bit healthier, but a little bit more fruitful. So they get more out of it. They give to the world, they give to themselves. Genetics lab, me. One designer baby, please. Doctor, it's not like that, me. Please remove the pooping and crying functions. Doctor, what? No, you can't. Me, give it wings and flamethrowers. Doctor, me, I'm gonna call her Claire. It sounds like they're building a transformer more than they are making a designer baby. That is literally not how it works. Your baby will need to cry, your baby will need to poop. In fact, if it didn't have those functions, you'll have a bigger problem with your baby. Just saying. Maybe I took that too seriously. You know you're a nurse if you've been telling stories in a restaurant and had someone at another table throw up. I think that's just like being in the medical professional in general. Sometimes I'm telling stories to my friends and they're like, Mike, we're eating. And I'm like, true. Poop jokes don't work when you're eating dessert. Jesse, doctor, do you exercise? Me, thinking of the arm curls to get the chips from the bag to my mouth. Yes, daily. If you actually do like a strong isometric contraction right here, that could be exercise, but I don't know many people who eat chips like that. If you do, why? On shell, at a doctor appointment, step up on the scale, jokingly. Do I have to? No. What? How have I gone this long without knowing this was an option? I mean, everything when you go to a doctor's office is an option, unless you're going for like a work physical or some kind of clearance. But in general, when you go, you have a patient bill of rights. Anything you don't want to do, even though like we'll try and recommend why you should do it, You don't have to. That's like the beauty of medicine. We work together as a team. If you're uncomfortable with something, maybe don't say, I don't want to do it. State that you're uncomfortable and perhaps hear the doctor's explanation of why it's recommended. You never realize how squeaky your shoes are until you walk into the room of a sleeping patient. Nurse problems, nurse life. I don't know what it is. Hospitals are extra echoey. Why? So I got a text from the doctor asking if my crap was properly hydrated. Turns out he actually wrote CPAP, and no, I'm not adjusting to bifocals well. For those of you who don't know, CPAP is continuous positive airway pressure. It's the thing that people wear around their nose at night. It's like a big contraption that lays at the side of their bed. It basically keeps your airway open so that when you have sleep apnea, your airway doesn't collapse and you wake up like snoring because you actually weren't breathing. It's not so comfortable to wear, but I will say there are things on the horizon to make this whole process a lot smoother. I feel like a pizza party should refer to pizzas having a party. Oh, wow. Humans having pizza at a party should just be a party with pizza. Does that make sense to you, therapist? I think we should meet more often. I think that is natural curiosity that makes you eccentric and fun and interesting to be around. Maddie MSN. You know it's gonna be a #bad day when the scrub machine gives you 2 pants and no shirts going shirtless. For those of you who don't know, there are now like Scrub X machines, I forgot the name of the brand, where you literally punch in like your employee ID or scan your badge and it feeds you your scrubs for the day. You could put them on. But sometimes they make mistakes. They give you wrong sizes. Sometimes it gives you 2 pants and no shirt. And that's a struggle because to get it fixed, like you need to go find someone, and if you're busy and it's a shift, hey, do you want to hang out? Sure, I'm free October 32nd, 2051. Let's plan something for that. Med student problems. Oh my God. I remember when I was on the ICU block and I would be working 6 days a week. Call Q2, which means every other day, means you come in at like 5 a.m., you leave at 9 p.m. every other day. Just like imagine how brutal that is. You have to wake up at like 3:30, 4, get to the hospital, work all day, get home at 9, wake up again super early. Like all you did was work and sleep during the ICU block. Your friends were like, where did you go this last month? And you're like, ICU. They're like, you see me? No, ICU. Intensive care unit, JK. Oh, get it? JK. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend a diet rich in lean protein and vegetables, and 1 out of 10 doctors is a stakeholder in the bariatric sleeve. For those of you who don't know, by the way, bariatric sleeve is a surgery that you can get in order to shrink the size of your stomach, which basically encourages you to not eat so you lose a lot of weight quickly. Other names for this is a stomach bypass, stomach stapling procedure, gastric bypass, all sorts of names. But these types of bariatric surgeries actually have really good evidence working long-term. For those who are really obese, I'm not talking about if you're 10, 15 pounds overweight. I'm talking morbid obesity, where the obesity is presenting an imminent threat to your life. CT scan. Patient. Doc, you're sure this is safe? Just a little radiation, right? Me from a mile away behind some bulletproof glass, a wall that's 45 feet thick, and a full suit of lead. Please hold still. No, look, CT scans absolutely expose you to a dose of radiation. The benefits of getting a CT scan in an emergency or when there's a true medical condition that we're trying to evaluate are outweighed by the risks, meaning that it's more beneficial to do the scan and expose yourself to some potential radiation. That being said, doing CT scans unnecessarily is really bad. And as a patient, okay, you'll get 1 CT scan, but as the doctor or the tech that's doing the exam, you're doing dozens of these a day. So you'd be exposed to a ton of radiation. So you better get 45 feet away by a 45-foot wall with a suit of lead. Doctor, how do you practice self-care? Me, pillows. Doctor, pillows? By sleeping on them? Me, no, by screaming into them. You know what? I wouldn't even judge. If one of my patients came in and they said they get a lot of happiness or their emotions out by screaming into a pillow, that's awesome. I think I get a lot of my anger out and work out my issues when I'm like punching a punching bag, you know? And to each their own. There is a surprising lack of YouTube videos detailing how to perform self-surgeries for inguinal hernia. Yeah, because you shouldn't perform surgery on yourself. It's really that simple. There was a story of a doctor who performed surgery on themselves in I think like Antarctica, because there was no access to medicine, and he performed an appendectomy on himself. I'm gonna tell the story in a video, because like it's a crazy story and you gotta hear it. If you're down, let me know in the comments. No idea daddy blog. 5-year-old, where's the scissors? Me. 5-year-old, I'm playing doctor. I've diagnosed that so far.
Drop the hoses! Come on! It's gonna fall!
I see pressurized tanks and I'm already getting nervous. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, get out. Oh, from my limited fire knowledge, you have to get low. When the fire goes high, we go low. When they go low, I forgot to say. There was a political joke in there that I totally missed, but I tried my best.
I'd say I'm surprised, but I know who you are.
Let's get him in, come on.
What am I looking at? The fact that they're getting him in before checking what's going on is a little strange to me, because in a situation like that, you want to make sure the patient has a pulse. If not, you got to start doing chest compressions. Imagine they didn't check for a pulse, he's pulseless, they're putting him inside the ambulance, and the whole time he's sitting there pulseless. That means no blood is circulating. Oh! Those are very significant burns. They almost look not just thermal. Some kind of corrosive substance there. Okay. Gotta love the fake monitors. They're saying oxygen level 88, which in a healthy person, I'd be concerned about. Pulse 49, I'd be very concerned about. That's bradycardic. And also looking at the rhythm strip that's along with the 49, I would say that 49 is not really 49 based on how fast we're seeing those QRS divots there. And then the blood pressure, 91/40, is a low blood pressure. And he looks like he has an A line as well, which is an arterial line that gives it more accurate blood pressure. 80/30 is really low. And I saw the temperature, 95.3. Oh my God. This should be in an ICU setting. There should be lots of doctors running around trying to figure out how to save this person's life.
I love you, brother. I love you and I'm gonna miss you.
Oh, maybe this is an end of life conversation and I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, maybe not? Oh, he's speaking in Russian. He said, I will be with you. And he shed a tear. Навсегда? That means forever. I'm assuming he's DNR because no one's rushing to perform chest compressions. And for those who don't know, there's something called do not resuscitate, which is a form that's filled out either by the patient or the patient's healthcare proxy. Upon admission to a hospital, we have to decide what your code status is. And code status is if your heart stops, what do we do? Do we perform CPR? Do we not? And there are sort of two ways that we go about doing DNRs, DNR A or DNR B. And one of them is for, we're going all out, we're treating you all out, and we're gonna not perform CPR if your heart stops. The other one is we're full on comfort care. We're not interested in treating conditions because we see no value for it. We're just prolonging harm. And instead focusing on comfort and no chest compression. So there's two types of DNRs.
You have to hurry. There's something wrong with this baby.
Oh no. It's funny, she said you have to hurry and then they're like really slowly walking up the steps.
What's happening?
The baby's still in the amniotic sac. Who delivered the baby though? And why is she holding it so casually?
Your baby was born in call, which means it's still fully intact in the amniotic sac.
Okay, this is not really a medical emergency. You just rupture the sac and we're good. This is really rare though, it's pretty uncommon. Sometimes it happens partially, sometimes fully.
We have to break the sac right away to get your baby breathing.
Yeah, usually babies that are born and call have a higher risk of having an issue, but it's not because they're born in the amniotic sac. It's usually because of whatever condition led them to be born in the amniotic sac. So very commonly premature babies that are born, because they're not full size, the amniotic sac that normally ruptures, aka water breaking, doesn't rupture because the baby's smaller. And premature babies face all sorts of risks, but again, not because they're in the sac, but because they're premature babies. I'm gonna venture to say that I think Sigmund Freud was born in call. If I'm wrong, it's gonna hurt.
I need the bulb syringe now, but there's no V-kit in the jump bag. There's no bulb syringe and no clamps.
So a bulb syringe is really just used to pull fluid out of the nose or the mouth. Sometimes when a baby's born, there's lots of fluids. You do a really good job suctioning, they start breathing a lot clearer.
Born with amniotic sac intact. First APGAR 4, 5-minute APGAR 5, heart rate's 90.
Those are really low APGAR scores. APGAR scores, acronym here, basically tell us how well a baby's doing. It's largely something that you can decide for yourself by using your senses, meaning your vision, your hearing. Nothing to do with taste. I probably should have been clearer with that.
You wanna wait, see what the little girl does?
No, let's do the paperwork and go.
There's an awkward ending line.
Hurry, please. It's really bad.
Anytime they say hurry, the staff just seems to walk slower and like give a sarcastic, cynical face. Ugh. Oh no, oh no, oh no. I'm only laughing because of how ridiculous this is.
I know you're having trouble breathing, but I need you to relax.
Sir, I know you have an arrow going through your jugular. Relax. It's all good. We're here.
His oxygen levels are good. I don't want to sedate him. It's better for him to breathe on his own. But I can't take this arrow out. We have to leave it in place and get you to the hospital.
Finally, someone with a little common sense about not taking out metal objects.
I can't transport it with this much sticking out. Yeah, I won't clear the ambo. And the slightest bump could cut off his breathing, make him crash. We need to cut this arrow shorter.
That's gonna hurt him a lot.
Stop.
What's wrong?
The vibration's giving him subcutaneous emphysema.
Oh, that means they're created a hole in his chest cavity and there's air getting inside of it.
Bubbles are putting pressure on his throat.
Yeah, so air is supposed to stay in your airway. Once it starts getting compromised by entering into your chest or your neck, what ends up happening is it puts pressure on the airway, therefore making it more difficult to breathe.
Violet, let's do a figure 8 wrap with acrylics. You got it.
There's no way that's preventing air from getting
That did the trick?
Yeah, let's load him up.
Yeah, nice and easy. One.
Oh my God, I don't like how they're moving him. I'm not okay with that. He should be on a backboard. There's gotta be a way to stabilize his neck. I'm so scared for that gentleman. Let's take a minute and talk about ShipStation, the fastest, most affordable way to ship products to your customers. Look, this has been a wild year and a lot has changed. When 2024 started, I didn't expect to literally double the amount of dogs I have in the house. When it comes to new fees, that can be a hairy challenge. Pun intended. My business has changed too, and with the holidays coming up, I'm always looking for flexible and scalable partners. That's what I love about ShipStation, whose all-in-one order fulfillment system is nimble enough to integrate with over 180 of the most popular e-commerce platforms, marketplaces, and carriers. You see, your entire shipping process can be managed in their easy-to-use dashboard, allowing you to automate your shipping process no matter the size of your business, whether you're just getting started or you've grown into a full-on enterprise. Over 130,000 companies have grown their e-commerce businesses thanks to ShipStation. And 98% of companies that use them for 1 year become customers for life. Not to mention, you can get up to 89% off USPS, DHL Express, and UPS rates. Lead your e-commerce business into a smarter future with the shipping software that delivers. Switch to ShipStation today. Go to shipstation.com/Dr. Mike to sign up for your free 60-day trial. All right, let's get back to the show.
I was walking past her door and I saw it was open and she's lying on the ground.
Oh no.
I don't think she's breathing.
First thing you do when a person's found down, you call for help, then you check for a pulse. If there's no pulse, you do chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions. You said it along with me. Yeah, push the furniture away, get the cleared space. Let's figure this out. Do some vitals.
No pulse.
No pulse, what do you do?
Chest compressions, chest compressions, chest compressions.
So weird that I heard you through the camera.
She's still warm. All right, start an IV.
Start chest compressions! Rescue breaths and chest compressions. And in this situation, rescue breaths, because it sounds like she's been down for a long period of time.
She's asystole.
What does that mean? Is she dead?
No, that means you can't shock her, and you should be doing chest compressions, giving epinephrine.
Yes, but we have to perform CPR anyway, which...
You're only 5 minutes late. That's 5 minutes to brains without oxygen.
All right, start pushing epi.
Pushing epi, okay.
Switch.
Okay, we're doing
All right.
bagging.
I'm gonna call telemetry, report a DOA.
And that's a quick DOA. I mean, you gotta give the patient a chance a little bit longer than that. Like, we do it by rounds. Like, you do 2-minute rounds of chest compressions, you give the medicine, you reassess the rhythm. But they just went, nah, we got another thing to do.
Oh my God. What happened?
There was nothing we could do. She was already gone.
What about the baby?
What about what baby?
Sorry, Shay, that
She's like 8 months pregnant with a girl.
I don't know what to do. I mean, I know there's like a perimortem C-section you can do that's supposed to be done rather quickly at the beginning of a cardiac arrest or just before a cardiac arrest. Actually, it's done not just to save the baby, it's done to potentially increase the chances of resuscitating the mother as well.
Don't give up. Can you do a C-section or something?
we're not allowed to do that, ma'am.
Who cares?
I don't know what you do here. I think if I'm putting myself in their shoes, I do it, even though I'm not trained. I just go for it. Like, I'm not waiting for a sterile environment. I'm not waiting for anything. I'm going for it.
If it'll save her, then just do it, please.
It is really not that simple.
Novak, I just did an obstetrics rotation for Con Ed. Got discrepant on 2 C-sections.
Can you do it?
I think so.
What do you mean, can you do it? There's no harm to the mother. You just pronounced her dead. Why did that incision look like it was burnt and cauterized?
I'm through the skin. Now I'm cutting into the fascia layers.
Time is of the essence here. Mom is pronounced dead. You're saving the baby only. So the fact that she's being so careful to do this is really meaningless because you're only hurting the baby, not helping anyone. And I'm glad that she said that the baby's 8 months, because if the baby was like significantly premature, like these days our technology has allowed babies that are born even 22-ish weeks premature to survive in the right hands. 8 months, you're in a much better position because if the baby is significantly premature, it doesn't even matter that you have this hero to try and do this.
Here she comes.
Please.
Oh my God, newborn resuscitation. We're doing the suction again.
Come on, sweetie.
Sternal rub? I don't know what to do here. Never been in this scenario. See, I would run with the baby like a football. Like the faster you get the baby to the hospital, the best chance it has. Because I just don't think they're gonna be able to help the baby. But it's a show. So of course, take the baby to the hospital. No celebrating. Imagine they like football dance, spike the baby. That was a dark thought. Intrusive thought, sorry.
Who makes the reception, and he gives you a little.
Oh. That's not good. Whenever I see heavy machinery go down, I get worried. Oh no, is he underneath it? Call 911 first, because once you get them free, you're gonna need support.
Hey, bud, what's your name?
Nathan!
Not important. Call 911.
Nathan, I need you to close your eyes and cover your face. Can you do that for me?
Whoa! My guy, you're at a junkyard full of rocks and metal. Don't use your elbow. Or maybe break the part that's not immediately on top of the kid.
And I'm not gonna be able to get you out unless I try and pull this out. It's gonna be just like ripping a Band-Aid off.
No, it's not. Do not do this alone.
It's gonna hurt at first and then it'll feel much better.
No, it could bleed a lot because the fact that it's in could be stopping the bleeding and you taking it out can cause more bleeding.
Ready?
No, I'm not ready. Please don't do it.
All right. Okay.
Oh, wow, shocker. His brachial artery is bleeding like crazy, and you're gonna put a little pressure on it. You don't even have a proper tourniquet to put on.
You gotta stay tough for me, okay? I gotta pinch off this artery.
Okay, how are you gonna do that? Is he doing it by hand?
Okay, I got it. All right, there we go, it's done.
It is possible, because I've seen this happen during surgery, but highly unlikely. Wait, he pinched it off and then what?
He has the kid pinching.
Oh.
How we doing, bud?
His arm's dying because you're not bringing him to safety, nor calling anyone to get him to safety.
Wake up, buddy.
He's pale and blue because he's lost all his blood because you didn't call anyone to bring blood. Oh my God. Now no one can call for help.
Hey, bud, you still with me?
I'm here.
Don't give up on me, okay? I want you to promise me.
Bro, I would have given up on you so long ago because you didn't call for help.
Look at this.
It's like a homework assignment.
Hey, Nathan. How'd you start this thing, buddy? There's no key.
You think that a child with a ruptured brachial artery is gonna chill around till the evening? No way.
And it's in contact with something metal.
What'd you use to do it?
Screwdriver.
Oh my God, this is so ridiculous. This is the next day already? Honestly, I'm all for like a citizen, what is it, Good Samaritan thing? But this is like a bad Samaritan. He legit did not call for help, got himself trapped, spent the night there hanging out, and is trying to hijack the overturned caterpillar while reading medical textbooks. Casually, a woman oversees this. Kids flip-flopping in there, fully flaccid inside this thing.
Kelly!
Who is this person?
You'll already bleed. I don't know how much longer you can hold out. We've been at it all night.
Oh my God, this is so not realistic. It's beyond. The fact that the kid remembers him already and the fact that he's fine, only on a medical drama.
Come in. It's my daughter, Maddie.
What happened?
She tripped and fell.
Oh! And people worried about heavy metal contaminants, lead or something from these things.
Okay, let's get her seated. It'll reduce any pressure on her skull.
Okay, what happened? She was sipping on her tumbler and she got tripped up by Brucey. Fell face first.
Brucey, what are you doing, buddy?
We have to stabilize the straw before we can move her, but let's check the blood coming off her nose first.
Check the blood to do what? What are you can't operate. I'm so afraid about what's about to happen. Cerebral spinal fluid?
This isn't blood, this is cerebral spinal fluid. The straw must have pierced her cranial cavity. We have to call ahead and get her to neurosurgery fast.
You have to keep her calm.
Stay calm, okay? And please keep that pup far away, all right?
Yeah, securing the scene is of utmost importance. You want a stable situation that's under your control.
Maddie, we need you to stay still, okay?
Can they sedate her?
Maddie, you have the limited edition pink tumbler?
Look at that. Sedating through the art of conversation.
I stood in line in the cold for 2 hours trying to get my hands on one of those. And guess what happened? The lady in front of me snatched up the last 3.
Probably should have her lay flat on the floor if you're gonna do that, you know.
Another thing in life to worry about, walking with straws.
List, I'd call that a pretty fun weekend.
What's the Murtaugh list?
Barney, you are not 18 anymore. If you did everything on that list, you would die. That wasn't
Challenge accepted. In the next 24 hours, I'm going to do every single thing on this list.
Now, as the doctor, I need to see this list before I give the A-OK. I'm just kidding. That's not what a doctor's role is. A doctor's role is to warn you of risks and dangers and allow you to make the decision for yourself. That's called bodily autonomy.
Robin, there is some pretty tough stuff on that list. Do you really think Barney's gonna get his ear pierced?
Get ear pierced. Check.
Oh, he's bleeding heavily. Most people that get their ear pierced don't bleed that much. I hope he didn't just stab himself in his cranium as well as going through his ear.
You guys mind if I crush on your futon tonight?
We don't have a futon.
Put it over there, boys.
What's going on?
It's on the Murtaugh list. Crash on a friend's futon instead of getting a hotel room.
I am too old for that stuff.
What's going on with your ear? It looks like the inside of a jack-o'-lantern on November 3rd.
The problem with ear infections, and it's not so much with an earlobe infection, it's more of a middle ear infection situation, is it can actually spread to the mastoid bone, which is attached to the occipital portion of your skull. And that area, the mastoid process, if it gets infected, it gets inflamed, it gets painful, and you require IV antibiotics. It's pretty ironic. So many parts of the body are called process, and that just means bone sticking out. Like a protruding bone is a process. So you have the mastoid process, you have the spinous process on the vertebrae. There's got to be another process that's going to come to mind. All of these.
This bet is over. Your ear looks like a free Danish at a continental breakfast.
I mean, at that point, it's just full-blown cellulitis requiring soft tissue antibiotics. He also might be having a reaction to the metal in that earring. That also happens a lot with nickel allergies. It's one of the most common metals to have an allergy to. People call it a cheap jewelry allergy. I think nickel's cool, so I don't call it cheap, but you know, to each their own.
Speaking of food, Marshall, I got some bad news. Just read online. Gazzola's is closing.
No.
What's Gazzola's?
A filthy mecca of spectacular, if undercooked pizza located at 316 Kinsey Street, Chicago, Illinois.
New York pizza is the best pizza. Don't tell me otherwise, please and thank you. Brooklyn pizza, to be specific. Staten Island up there as well. And the only correct way to order a pizza is with extra cheese pepperoni. Don't tell me otherwise. Unless you're my cholesterol, then you're allowed to tell me otherwise.
Those Gazzola's trips, that's where we really became bros.
We ate nothing but jerky.
Drank nothing but Tantrum.
Tantrum was a soft drink with the highest caffeine content legally available over the counter.
Oh my God. This reminds me of Prime, with the Prime Energy having a huge amount of caffeine content and how it's being marketed to kids and how that turned out to be a huge disaster. It actually also reminds me more of Four Loko. That was a problem. People were getting palpitations. They were getting sick off Four Loko. And for those who don't know, Four Loko was like an alcoholic beverage that wasn't incredibly high in alcohol content, but it had some, but also had a mega amount of caffeine. And it was also huge serving size too.
Those trips were brutal, right? The long hours in the car, the motion sickness, the smell.
So what time are we leaving for Gazzola's tomorrow?
I was thinking 9:30. A little rubbery, room temperature, kind of gross.
Making me wonder if this pizza is worth the 22-hour drive.
22-hour drive. That's a blood clot if I ever heard one. I'm just kidding. But that does put you at risk for having a blood clot. Long drives, long flights, post-surgery. If you don't move, you have a higher chance of having a clot form in the veins of your legs. Because actually, when you move around and you take steps, your calf muscle squeezes, therefore it helps some of the blood flow from the veins come back up. But if that blood pools and stagnates in the area because you're not using your calf and pumping well, as a result, you could form a blood clot. The danger of having that blood clot is having that blood clot get loose from that area, get shot up into your circulation, into your lungs, creating what's known as a pulmonary embolism. Because it lodges in your lungs, blocks blood flow, and the lung dies.
Just like old times.
I feel so young again, except for the chest pains.
You know what's funny about pizza is it's one of those foods that is really like a triple whammy in terms of potentially being unhealthy. You consume a lot of sugar that can lead to high triglycerides, higher blood sugar levels, which can increase inflammation in the body, all sorts of vascular issues, vascular inflammation. But then on top of it, you have high sodium content, which can increase blood pressure. Then on top of it, you have high fat content, which can raise your cholesterol, leading to blockages being formed. So you have like blockages plus inflammation plus high blood pressure. A lot of strain on the heart and kidney. I still love pizza. This isn't a pizza hate video, I'm just saying.
Got my stomach!
Ooh.
Damn you, Gazzola's!
Oh, food poisoning is terrible.
It's like a hot ball of lead! Baby, cut it out of me! Cut it out!
You know what's funny? When we study in med school specific foods, reheated pizza is not one of them, but there's certain ones that they test us that they ingrain the types of bacteria that those foods tend to harbor and then cause illness with. So like reheated rice has B. cereus bacteria. Potato salad has like salmonella. Deli meats have listeria. We even have some for animals. Like if you own rabbits, maybe you have tularemia. If you have parrots, maybe you have chlamydia. I'm not exaggerating that. That's like still ingrained in my head from the medical boards.
130, what? You...
They didn't have Uber back then.
I'm Batman.
He got hit by a bus.
BTW, there's one bone downstairs that ain't broken.
That's not a bone.
Up top.
Are you sure?
Yeah, dude. Why do you think I had him set it this way?
Okay.
Oh, that's kind of weird. You know what's funny? He's wearing this C-spine collar. And we wear that usually to stabilize the C-spine until we clear it, until we get proof that there's no fractures or danger to the cervical spine. And it's very clear since he's been bandaged up and he has casting on that the x-rays are already complete. So that thing would have come off by now. It's also really important when you have casts on the lower limb to keep them elevated to allow the lymphatic fluid to drain and not allow it to swell, because if it swells, pressure can build up and it can create all sorts of problems.
I had to look away because if I watched what the paramedics were about to do, I would have passed out. Then they took out this electric blade thing, and I kept thinking, this isn't happening. This isn't happening.
The electric blade thing is probably an oscillating saw to take off a cast.
Oh my God, what did they cut?
My suit.
Oh.
My beautiful suit.
It's actually really cool. If you ever seen a cast saw, if you put it on your skin that's soft, it kind of just bounces your skin around. But if you put it on a cast, which is a surface that's hard without elasticity, it's actually gonna cut through the cast because it vibrates so hard. There's actually some really cool slow-mo footage. Here, maybe we can play it.
I'm afraid you're allergic to lobster. You can never, ever, ever have it.
Is it lobster or just shellfish in general? Which is usually somehow tied to iodine. Is that like the white bear principle where it's like, or white elephant, where I say, don't think about a white elephant, and you're definitely gonna think about a white elephant?
Oh, this is delicious.
Oh man, that's serious angioedema. I'm worried at this moment because she doesn't have an EpiPen. We could get into trouble. You know, there's actually immunotherapy that you could do with like sublingual tablets or injections that can help overcome an allergy. Pretty cool stuff.
I don't need to go to a heart doctor. I drink every day, I sleep 3 hours every night, and I have multiple sex partners. I'm doing everything right.
Well, not sleeping is not great for the heart, especially long term, because that puts you into sympathetic overdrive where you're in fight or flight mode, which means you have high cortisol, you have high blood sugar, you have dysregulation of your blood pressure, then you're drinking large amounts of alcohol, which is cardiotoxic. Yes, alcohol is cardiotoxic. Sexual partners, probably the one that contributes the least to the heart. I guess if you're having lots of sex, it's like you're exercising a decent amount, so maybe your heart healthy for that reason.
Well, Barney, your heart sounds fine.
See, Lily? She was worried.
Although it seems like you might have a slight arrhythmia.
I'm assuming he's gonna have like a PVC.
I'd like you to wear this heart monitor for the next 24 hours.
It's called a Holter monitor. We have patients wear it for 24, 48 hours if they're having symptomatic arrhythmias or we find an incidental arrhythmia. What's cool about the monitor is obviously that's an older one. The newer ones, they have like a little connection to your phone where if you're experiencing some of the symptoms like palpitations or pain or something, you could press a button on the phone, which actually marks the area of the electrical rhythm when you're experiencing it. Because some patients may come see me and they say, I feel fine right now, but sometimes, doctor, something's going on in there. What's cool is with the Holter monitor, I can actually go back in time and look at the moment where they pressed the button, what was going on with the heart.
Flag on the play, Doc. I have a date tonight.
Don't worry, it's totally safe. Unless part of your big date involves connecting yourself to a car battery.
Well, now it doesn't.
That was like a really weird choice of humor. I don't know. I don't get it.
Okay, everything looks fine here, although I did notice a few irregularities. There's nothing to be alarmed about.
She's probably pointing out PVCs, which are premature ventricular contractions. Not incredibly scary, especially if they're asymptomatic, meaning you don't feel anything with them. Young people can have them. They kind of just pop up because sometimes treating them or trying to treat them will actually lead to more complications as opposed to just leaving them alone.
Nora's great. She's wonderful. But
What time was your dinner reservation?
last night, 8:30.
What did his heart do at 8:30?
It literally skipped a beat.
That's cute.
Your heart's talking to you, Barney.
Oh, he
Do you have the
lets
guts to listen to it?
Oh my God, does he have heart block? If he has like a second-degree heart block, Mobitz, I'm paying attention.
What do you mean I can't have an epidural?
You're too far along. Things are moving much faster than expected.
Look, if your hands are tied medically, just leave the epidural on the table and walk away.
How are you gonna put it into your spine?
Lily, I know this isn't how you imagined it, but I want you to know that I am here for you and I am rock solid. Oh, I can see its head.
Oh, thank God, Dr. Sonia!
You! Get that thing out of my delivery room!
Where are the nurses? Where is the support staff?
We push now, yes?
I can't, Marshall's not here yet.
Lily, if you don't push, I will shove that baby up your throat and pull it out of your mouth!
Yeah, we don't do that, sorry.
Everybody?
Oh, that baby's like a month old.
Named him after my pop.
Maybe not a month.
Tell him the full name.
Where do they get babies from for TV shows? Like young babies. Do people rent them?
I think young babies literally have